Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Go Live series of the Follow Our Journey Through Radical Remission Coach Training. Today, Cheryl and I are going to discuss advocacy in the setting of health and wellness coaching. One reason why this topic is near and dear to my heart is that we are our own biggest advocates. We are the experts of ourselves, which is what coaching embodies. Therefore, advocacy is an important topic to discuss in the context of coaching and in life in general. And so today we're going to discuss advocacy and what that means in the context of health and wellness coaching.
Yeah, so advocacy is such a big topic, one of my favorite parts of my job, and I feel like it goes hand in hand with empowering others. So I've looked at multiple different advocacy websites, and all of them seem to have a very similar definition, which is advocacy is defined as any action that speaks in favor of, recommends, argues for a cause, supports or defends, or pleads on behalf of others. And there are three different types of advocacy. There's self advocacy, so advocating for yourself, which will be our primary topic for today. And through health and wellness coaching, this is what we are trying to get our patients to be able, or clients rather, to be able to do for themselves. And then there's individual advocacy, and that is when an individual or a group or organization advocates for another person. So many coaches are also advocating as healthcare professionals. We are advocates in that way. And then there's system advocacy. So focusing on changing laws and policies with the intent of supporting a certain group of people. So that's the big holistic approach to advocacy. So like lobbyists would fall under this type of advocacy. So I think that as a coach, we can be all three of these types of advocates. But to me, the most important is the self advocacy. And we've all heard the quote, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he feeds for a lifetime. So as a coach, we can empower others to learn how to advocate for themselves while still also providing individual advocacy as needed and system advocacy to address health and wellness as a whole in our communities.
Mm. I love that you have given the foundation of advocacy with those three different levels. And because, like you had mentioned, it's holistic in alignment with the big picture. And this goes to the general theme of life that we are a microcosm, right, of this macrocosm of an environment that we're in. So any change or anything we do does have a ripple effect. Obviously, the extent of that ripple effect changes depending on the situation and the environment we're in, but everything starts with us. And so, as health professionals and now as coaches, I agree that the most important is self advocacy. And so, what does this self advocacy mean? Like, what does it actually mean to advocate for yourself? For me, I find that it begins with having that self awareness, to have that introspection, and also education. Education for me has been a huge way to empowerment because often it's like, how do you know if something is right or wrong for you, right? How do you know what's best for you? Not necessarily a right or wrong. And it starts with us, and there's no one size that fits all.
Yeah, isn't it funny how it seems though every topic that we have, we go back to some core concepts like awareness and empowerment, which are both such strong topics in health and wellness coaching. So to continue, like as coaches, how do we help our clients with self-awareness and education? Um, I think an important part of empowering our clients to self advocate is to assist the client in self exploration and education, which go hand in hand. So, for me, I'm always starting my coaching sessions, my coaching packages, by learning what my clients value, what is important to them, what do they want out of this life. Many clients have not fully explored this yet, and it's important to start here because it builds that awareness. That self exploration builds that self awareness. Then what comes next is addressing um, education, which comes with looking at whatever issue you have at hand, right? So let's say you have a new cancer diagnosis, and now you have a thorough understanding of your values and who you are and what you want, what is important to you, and So let's say your value is holistic health. You value your mind, body, and soul. So now the doctor is telling you about the new treatments for your diagnosis. This is where education comes in. So I have cancer. I value my holistic health. This is the treatment being recommended. So now you can ask questions. How will that treatment impact my mind, body, and soul? Are there other treatment options? What can happen if I choose not to do treatments? And once you have these questions, now where are the reliable sources to get information, to get answers to my questions? So, as a coach, by assisting clients in exploring their values, how to ask questions, and come up with reliable resources of information, we've now assisted that client in learning how to fish. And can now feel empowered to be able to self advocate.
I love the fishing analogy. That's wonderful. It's the self-independence, right? Being self-sufficient and realizing that just as our body has this beautiful innate ability to heal, we have this innate wisdom that we can nurture and figuring out how to do that, right? How to do that and optimize that. I love also what you had mentioned about that holistic view to having that empowerment, right? Of having optimizing your health and healing and well being. And once you know that, then aligning your treatment with it. I'd also like to just say that, just from personal experience and from encounters and with speaking with many, and also even in the Radical Remission books, often, for many people, how to optimize our health and well being and nurture that inner wisdom is not traditionally taught in education, like not even medical education, just formal education throughout the way. And so often people will describe an obstacle, a challenge, or something unexpected in their life, whether it's a transition, a sudden loss, or like you had mentioned, a new cancer diagnosis, as a spiritual awakening in hindsight, as something that really forces that person to stop, look at their lives, look at themselves, and navigate from there. And so, while ideally it's amazing to have a really solid foundation and navigate with that, sometimes they happen in parallel, right? Just a continuous process, a continuing learning journey.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I didn't start on this self exploration and healing journey until my late husband was diagnosed with cancer. It was something like that that triggered me to start this journey. And you're right, it's not something this kind of self exploration and tuning into your inner wisdom, and it's not taught through education, unfortunately. And that would be, I think, so beneficial to be able to have started this process so much sooner, and have that knowledge, when it came to receiving that information. Um, Even though it's a continued journey, right? It's constant because it's not a linear process at all. We're constantly growing and we're constantly changing. So we constantly have to re-explore ourselves and who we are after different experiences that we encounter. And I think it can be a beautiful journey. It is a beautiful journey if you allow it to be. And I've personally loved it. So, in the setting of health and wellness coaching, we want to give you just some ideas, some tips on how to start self advocating for yourself. Like, what does that look like? So, as I talked about, making a list of questions. Questions can be, there could be so many possible questions that you could ask. So maybe making a list of them, writing them down, understanding where your gaps in knowledge are, and then let's say you're getting that information. If you're not fully understanding it, ask more questions. It's okay. A lot of this health and wellness information is scientific and intense, and it could be a lot to comprehend. And you might have to ask multiple times, and that is absolutely okay. Um, and then learning as much as you can, exploring all of your, different resources, different avenues in which you can get information. If you're going to an appointment, maybe you need to take notes, invite a friend or family member, do an audio recording so that you can refer back to it, whatever it is that you need to help retain that information that you're learning. You can bring up, oh yeah, this is an important one. So bringing up concerns, even if you feel uncomfortable. So maybe that's, you may feel intimidated by doctors. Some people feel intimidated by working with their doctor. Maybe it's, you have a personal female type question, but you have a male doctor, or vice versa. Those situations might be uncomfortable, but you still need that information. So, how are you going to get it? So, one way could possibly be to have an individual advocate, the type of advocate that we spoke about earlier, that can come with you to your appointments and help speak up in those situations where you might feel uncomfortable. A Another thing that could be helpful is keeping copies of your medical records, easy to refer back to. You have all of your, it's just another resource, another source of information. Getting a second opinion, I think, is extremely important. As a nurse, I recommended this to every patient, and the doctor completely did too. He always encouraged a second opinion. Seeking a second opinion does not mean that you think any less of your current doctor, but this is your health and your life, and it's important to get a full understanding. And then another important one, I think, is providing feedback to your healthcare team. And this sometimes could be intimidating as well. And I guess I said healthcare team, but I also mean any of your health and wellness professionals that you're working with. Um, it might be intimidating to do so, but it is another form of advocacy. So not only are you self-advocating, like, hey, if you were able to teach me this with a diagram rather than telling me, or showing me a picture so I can visualize it, like, to better explain to your healthcare team how they can help you, is not only self-advocating, but you are also kind of system advocating, right? Like, for other clients that these professionals are seeing, they know, oh, maybe I should do this. And speaking as a health and wellness professional myself, I encourage feedback. I want to know if there is something that I can do better for my client, please tell me. So do not feel intimidated. Like, it is extremely helpful, and you will generally be really well received.
I think the feedback also is sometimes the most valuable part of learning for me. Like, it's one thing to learn content, it's another thing to receive feedback, because how often do we receive positive, constructive feedback? And the other thing is, with anyone in this space, right? I'd like to say we're lifelong students. We're student of life, and we're a lifelong learners. And so just coming back to your big picture is, why is this important? Why are we sharing these tips with you? It's because often I find that sometimes it's hard to get everything you need in one place, which is what the beauty is of integrated and holistic health and healing modalities. So, for instance, whether you're healthy and you want to enhance your health, yes, by all means, go for your routine physical, do whatever needs to be done. But just realize that the absence of an abnormality does not equal health, right? So, where do you find out what health is and how many different domains of health there are? Not just physical, right? Emotional, spiritual, mental health, so many different types of domains. And so, finding out ways to support yourself, getting that information to really have that holistic, aligned approach. And the same thing with anyone hoping to navigate or improve their outcome for a disease. And so, you had mentioned points on how to be proactive, gathering credible information. Definitely what you said, asking questions. No question is Every question is important. Doing your own research, and aligning your life with what works for you. And so just be wary too. If someone's not offering you more than one choice, it may simply be because they don't know it themselves. And it's very hard for any one person to know everything. So definitely fill in the gaps where you need to. And key to this is education is empowerment, and education is advocacy.
Yeah, exploring all your options, I think, is a really good point. Our medical system can be amazing, but there's also other healthcare, systems out there as well, Chinese medicine and all different things that could also be helpful. So, going to different areas and saying, this is my goal. How can you help me reach this health and wellness goal? um, and that brings up another point for me, is sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, right? So by exploring all of these different realms, you might come up with different modalities that can help you heal, or even just preventative care that you never would have known about before. So just asking, well, how can you help me? Um,
How can I help myself?
Yeah, how can you help me help me?
That's one of the things. And how do you even? How can you, one of the beautiful parts that I loved about the books, the Radical Remission books, or there's another great one which is Mind Over Medicine by Lissa Rankin. Cheryl, I know we had given book recommendations before, as there's so many sources out there of different healing modalities. So this is a great place to explore.
I agree. So, thank you all for joining us today. Please don't forget to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Social media, email, our websites, whatever works best for you. And we look forward to seeing you next Friday. Thank you.